Welcome everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm the Grace Strega and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Tuesday, June 17th, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? Can I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread? First two cards in our oh boy. First two cards in our spread for today are our Knight of Swords in its reversal and our 10 of Cups in its reversal. Okay. Here's the thing. And I just keep on working. I just keep on seeing something here. The thing we have to recognize and identify is working in the space. And this is what I meant. The thing about, we got to be a little conscientious today. Why do we have to be a little conscientious today? Because Mars has moved into Virgo. And whenever Mars transits, there's the possibility of things like feelings being shaken up. You know what I mean? It can shake up. It can create a little bit of an emotional shake-up, especially as it has to do with navigating through our frustration. Okay, so, and I want to talk a little bit about this too, because, and I like the conversation that occurs in Mars in Leo that moves into Mars in Virgo, right? Because Mars in Leo is about leading with the heart space. Remember when we first entered Mars in Leo, I said welcome to Braveheart energy. It's like how brave it is, right? The bravery it takes to lead with compassion is effectively what we often experience when we're going through a lot of those Mars and Leo vibrations, right? The space of the compassion that allows one to be heart-centered. And the thing about it is it talks a lot about the journey of the warrior, right? The journey of the ability of being able to be vulnerable, to be able to open up about something that matters to you, something that speaks upon the heart. Mars in Virgo has more to do, I keep on describing it, it's like it has more to do with, it's like Joan of Arc energy. It's like it has to do with don't confuse the kindness for weakness, right? It's like the conversation that says that the understanding that the gift that we give to one another, right? That expansion point as it relates to being able to be energetically open, it's working through that to a space that we are able to identify how precious that energetic journey is. So I would not be surprised. And that's why we were having a lot of those conversations yesterday in the space of the reading. Because remember how we were talking about the fact that vulnerability is effectively precious, because effectively when we're in the space of being vulnerable, it is something that we effectively do in order, because it's like the energetic trust that we form or the trust that we create there. So there's a lot of that work that I'm seeing in relationality to the fact that, remember how I talked about there's a lot of energy right now, and yesterday particularly, that was moving deeper into union. And for a lot of the energy moving deeper into union, that ability of being able to, remember what I said, dispel something that one held about the self that wasn't necessarily true, right? The ability to recognize and remove something from the self that one has been carrying. This is why we often talk about the difficulty in relationality to healing, because when we are healing, right, often in the journey of healing, the first thing we find is the audacity, right? Because when you start to hold oneself preciously, you hold oneself to a higher standard. And when you start to hold oneself preciously, the things that come up, right, looking back upon something that was necessarily in a space or place that was, you allowed yourself to get comfortable with, this can sometimes feel Like, this is why we talk about the fact that healing is not easy, because it's not the fact that those feelings go away. It's how you have to face what those experiences were. For a lot of the energy right now in separation, and I'm getting a sense from a lot of the energy that I'm reading right now that the energy in separation is moving into temperance. And why do we see that a lot of the energy in separation right now is moving into temperance? Because interestingly, temperance is about working through and we're going to talk a little bit about this. It's working through what it takes, right? The alchemy of the self, right? The understanding of the embracing of one's uniqueness that allows one to become more stable within the self, right? And it's interesting too, because, it's actually like, there's something really important about like the conversation about what one contains, or what one is made up upon, because I keep on seeing that and it has more to do again with the space of identifying the uniqueness of self. Everything I keep on seeing about a lot of these new relationships that are forming right now is it's moving out of the embracing of it's like the energy's moving out of the embracing of the self, and talking more about the work of what it is they're trying to do with the self, if that makes sense. So that's why I see even now that a lot of those magician partnerships are moving into temperance, because the magician into temperance is talking about the combination of energetic force. So the space of the changing manifestation that we arrive to when we find an energetic counterpart that sees us in our exquisiteness. Now, for a lot of the energy in separation, this is why, and I want you to just understand, this is why there may be this is energy coming into union right now, or working on this in separation. There's a lot of like, I keep on saying, like, better out than in, right? A lot of that space of being able to heal from something, but it's almost like it's saying to me, it's like the healing from something that feels doubly painful, because it's a recognition of something that you may have felt like you were healing in the wrong way. And that can be very difficult, right? Because often, and this is the thing about it, when we're not in healthy spaces, the things that we hold, like, and this is why it's so important that we build into healthy energetic connections, because when you're not in a healthy energetic connection, the things that are positive in a healthy energetic connection, another person will try to articulate is the problem, right? If you're looking to be reliable and another person isn't in a healthy connection, they're going to look at you and say that you're being needy, right? If you're trying to like communicate with someone that is distant, and you're trying to facilitate healthy communication with someone that is refusing to do so, they're going to say that you're pushing too hard against it. So there's that space that talks about the ability of understanding that, and this is why we talk about the fact that we don't try to force healing on things, because we can't force healing. It's not about healing. It is about alignment. When we find the symmetry in a healthy connection, when the vibes are right, what we're looking for is what we arrive at, right? Okay, it's like we don't take it personally. We just recognize or identify if it's energetically there, right? It's like that. It's that healthy energetic flow by which things become possible. And this is why I keep on hearing that for a lot of the energy that is coming into union right now, working through that energetic complication point that we sometimes arrive to in healthy partnership. And this is the funny thing about healing. It's not the fact that you're able to look back and diagnose the problem of what you experienced. It's more about the fact you look back quizzically and go, what was all of that about? Right? Like, what was all that about? Because we talk about this here, right? Where does trauma arrive from? trauma arrives from spaces that are energetically confusing. Where are spaces that are energetically confusing? Places that do not have clear manifestation goals are confusing spaces. So a lot of the work I keep on seeing that is happening right now for a lot of the energy that is in separation. I keep on hearing the manifestation goal is key. The ability to speak towards it, the ability to talk upon it, right? And a lot of the and that's and this is the hurdle, and this is why that ability of doing so is the problem that occurs in relationality to articulating upon manifestation goals. And that the problem with it is that when we see that in another, the problem is potentially twofold. Why is there a twofold problem in relationality to a lack of a clear manifestation goal? Because when we see a lack of a manifestation goal in another, that could be indicative of one or two different issues. The first one could be situations and or circumstances where another person is not confident enough to articulate on their dreams. This is why we have to do the work on the self, because the more we work on the self, the more we are able to speak from the heart about the things that we care about. And when we speak from the heart about the things we care about, we're not afraid to talk about our manifestation goals, right? Like we say those manifestation goals out loud. We shout them from the rafters. We sing them, right? Because we sing towards the manifestation goal. But when we're not confident with ourselves, we whisper our manifestations, right? We're not in a space of being able to feel like that ability of the self is one that we lack the confidence to be able to articulate upon our needs. And a need that is not articulated is a need that cannot be met. So I see that there's a lot of energy right now that is potentially working right now in separation on getting better at articulating needs and not feeling needy in the process. Understanding that if you're in a space where you articulate needs and another person, like when we talk towards needs, right, as long as we're doing the work of the emotional space, that helps us define what feels like it's calibrated towards our manifestation goals versus what feels like it's something that we need to work on within. Whereas the other issue in relationality to a lack of manifestation goals is someone who does not necessarily know what it is that they ultimately want. This is very dangerous when it comes to healthy partnership, because we should not look to others to give us energetic direction as it relates to what it is that we're seeking. Because often, if we don't know what it is that we want, we're just looking for someone instead of aspiring for something. Then when we start moving towards them, it can create that feeling of energetic confusion, because we should build manifestation goals together. And that's why we say, like, a manifestation goal should not be based upon a person. It should not be based upon a person. It's based upon a feeling. Okay. It's based upon the idea, the feeling. It's moving towards the feeling. Because often, like when you just say, like when you move towards a person, you don't know what the feeling is. It can create a lot of energetic confusion. While for manifestations, the other thing is about, like, again, walking into the space of understanding. A healthy manifestation is one that is mutually shared. This is why we articulate upon healthy partnership is one that we mutually share manifestations, because in the space that we share manifestations together, we don't feel like we're circumnavigating one another in order to achieve a manifestation goal. This is often how we end up in relationships where we feel like we are a means to another person's end. So everything I keep on seeing right now, this is why I keep on feeling like a lot of the energy right now, this shift into Mars into Virgo is really feeling like the prioritization point that is built upon temperance, which is the understanding of the flow state, the healthy flow state of relationship that you can't force. You know what I mean? You can't force it. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not, right? It's and it says even now, like, and that's why I keep on seeing that for a lot of those relationships, I'm already seeing we're gonna be talking a lot about the mystery of healthy partnership, which is the idea or the identification point of that energetic magnetic connection that we feel with another, that sometimes, like, we, and this is why we talk about healthy counterparts, because this is often why we talk about the fact that even in a healthy connection, sometimes it's hard to put into words, right? Continuing to get clarification. Center card in today's spread, we've got, ooh, I like it, our four of cups in its reversal. Our Four of Cups in its reversal is, and this is we're already moving into Cancer energy right now. That's what's happening too, especially with Mars and Virgo and all of these planets that just moved into Cancer. It's working through the preciousness of the self. It's working through the preciousness of the self, but more so than just the preciousness of the self. I keep on seeing it's built upon and based upon, and I keep on hearing it has to do with it has to do with the ineffable. So let me walk through what we're seeing here a little bit so I can help to articulate this. When we are working on the self, there's always, I keep on hearing, there's all those doubts, there's all those fears that creep to the surface. There are all of those worries. But this is why we talk about healthy partnership, right? Because the healthy partnership is such that makes room, right? It makes room for our concerns, right? It's the space, like I keep on hearing, the healing that arrives in being able to dispel something that when one worries about, but also one fortifies upon, right? So I keep on hearing that, like, a lot of that work that we see that is occurring right now, it has to do with like dispelling things that don't feel like they're positive or productive of the self. Now, when we're in separation, like energy like this, I told you, with all the Cancerian energy we're experiencing, and especially with Mars going into Virgo, it can create a lot of that. It can create a little bit of that, like a little bit of those worries rising up, right? But this is why I want you to kind of embrace some of that Leo Mars energy that we were experiencing, which is trying to lead with confidence, right? Trying to come into that space of amplifying and articulating what it feels like to be able to speak from the heart space in a way that allows one the confidence of holding oneself preciously. Because everything I keep on seeing here, for a lot of the energy and separation, this is why I feel like there's a lot of that frustration that's, remember I said, there's a lot of that frustration that's being expelled. There's a lot of that, like I keep on hearing, there's a lot of that energetic relief. But like, if you're feeling anxiety right now, it's because of the exhalation of energy releasing something that they were energetically carrying within that wasn't necessarily healthy, is what I keep on hearing. It's the energetic sediment of the energy coming into divine union, right? It's the ability to, how do I put this, how do I explain this in a way that makes sense? Remember when I said the fact that a lot of the energy right now is releasing something that didn't feel like it was energetically healthy to the self, right? If you are very sensitive to energy right now, that could be feeling some of that anxiety being energetically released. I'm going to put it that way. That's the best way I can articulate upon that. I'm sure if you know what I mean, you know what I mean about that. Because if you're very sensitive, you're like, where's all this anxiety coming from? This is the reason. This is the energetic reason. Continuing to get clarification between our 4th and 5th cards in our 5-card spread. We've got here our King of Wands in its reversal in combination with our Death card in its reversal. So let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing here. You know, the beauty of Mars being in Virgo has to do, and I just want to kind of describe this. It's the ability to, I keep on hearing, I wouldn't be surprised right now if there are conversations in relationality to what feels like it is energetically supportive versus what feels like it is not. Because, and I want to show you what I'm seeing right now for both feminine and masculine energy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. We've got feminine right now in the space of the Knight of Swords in its reversal. Okay? And we've got masculine right now in the energy and the space of the King of Wands in its reversal. Now, let's talk about this, because with the Knight of Swords in its reversal, this is those like working through the process of healing can often feel very painful, because it is the understanding and the recognition of what it takes in order to facilitate healthy partnership. And this is why I feel like for a lot of this energy that's moving into partnership right now, it's like it's articulating upon the frustration of the past, right? This is often why I keep on hearing when we enter into healing, when we first enter into our healing, right? And this is why we have to be very energetically stable as we do so. The first feeling we arrive to is the audacity, right? Like, why do we feel the audacity? Because it's the difference between what one is observing that one is working on in the self, right? What one is identifying that one is trying to work on versus what one has experienced. And we also understand that if you're not in a healthy space, someone will try to reverse those on you. Okay? Like they'll try to reverse them on you. That's what's so difficult about our healing journey. It's the observation that often, and if we're in an unhealthy space, the qualities and characteristics that are beneficial for us, another person will articulate, are the energetic problem. This is why we talk about a lot of the space of coming out of trauma. The first act is to remove oneself from the place that you have to move away from it. You have to get away from it, because if not, I mean, it's not the fact that you can't heal in a space, but you have to have your boundaries up all the time. So we see, like, what are we seeing that's happening right now for a lot of the energy that is doing this work? They're releasing a lot of the preconceptions that they felt about themselves that they had to imbibe in order to maintain the space of being within a certain level or degree of trauma. And when that's why we always, like, the first thing you will heal, but the first thing you will feel when you heal is a lot of upset. You're going to get very upset. You're going to get very upset about your journey, because it's the clarification point in relationality to what was yours to work on versus other people trying to give you their homework, right? And that's often what happens in trauma-informed spaces. It's like others who don't want to do the work and they try to give you their homework, right? It's like the books that stack up. And this is why when we finally kind of come into a space of healing, when we find that reciprocity, we're like, oh, because we suddenly recognize something that we were potentially energetically trying to fix within the self that was not our energetic problem in the first place. So this is also important, because this is the healthy work that we do when we are navigating a good spiritual journey. Does that mean you are perfect? No. Okay? Like, doesn't mean that you're perfect. This is why I see that the energy right now in separation is moving into temperance, because what do we see that the temperance card does? The temperance card goes like this. They distill the water. And when we are in a healthy spiritual space, we do the healthy sifting. And what is the healthy sifting? You have to remember, I talked about this in the temperance class that we just taught. You can find it over on the Tarot Church Library. When we didn't have a way to purify water, if you wanted to drink water, you would move water between cups, because when you move water between cups, what do? You remove the sediment. So the ability to move things, the ability to move the energy within the self, right? To work on the space does not mean, right? The healthy, generally, the generalization point of being able to be in a healthy spiritual space is you don't give someone all your water. You don't come in, and when you are righteous, you're giving someone all your water. You're saying, oh no, there's nothing wrong with me. I am perfect. I am perfect. You guys are the worst. You guys are all you guys. That is not, no, that's not right. That's not right. That's not right. That's the ego. The ego wants to say that, right? The ego's like, give them the water. Okay. When we're not in, but we're also, when we're not in a healthy spiritual space, we also don't pour the water all over ourselves. We don't say, I am the worst. Everything is my fault. Nothing is good. We don't fall over ourselves and drown in the water, because that is the energy that says everything is, and that is not right either. No, we do the work. We move the water between the cups, which is to say, this is for me to work on. That was them. This is for me to work on. That was them. It is the healthy clarification point and understanding what our personal responsibility is, what our energetic homework is, versus something that is not ours. That's not mine. Okay, I don't know where that is. And this is what's happening right now in some of these connections, right? The ability, and often, again, this is why these like the healthy conversation helps us to distill our water, because in those modalities, if we're thinking, this is why a good conversation can sometimes feel like a massive weight off of our shoulders, because what does a healthy conversation do? It helps us purify our consciousness. It helps us understand, right? We move the energy back and forth between us in order to facilitate and recognize what is ours to work upon, right? Something that we need to amend within the self versus something that we should probably just get rid of. Now, that's not yours. That's somebody else's. They were trying to give that to you. That's not your homework. Okay. And that's basically what we see is happening with a lot of these relationships that are coming into being right now. And also a lot of energy and separation, right? The distillation process and understanding what is one, like, I got to work on that. That's something I can work on versus that's not mine, right? Continuing to get clarification between Knight of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Ten of Cups in its reversal. There's that Wheel of Fortune in its reversal. And this is what's happening for a lot of the energy right now that is coming into divine union. What are we seeing that's happening right now for a lot of the energy that's coming into divine union? That recognition, that observation, that understanding, and the facilitation point of healing. It's working through the context of identifying the preciousness of the self. And for a lot of the energy right now that's coming into union, you'll recall that I said that this is a lot of the energy that was this is a lot of the magician energy that's moving deeper into divine union right now. Like that ability of understanding, and I keep on seeing there's something really important that I like. The thing with the Wheel of Fortune and its reversal that I like to point out is it's giving a lot of like, I feel like it, and this is what I mean with like, this is what I mean in relationality to this is what I meant with like Mars in Virgo. It has a lot to do with like absolutely not. Okay. And this is why I like to say, when we say absolutely not, it's not N-O-T, it's K-N-O-T, right? It's dealing upon the ability to articulate and define what is important to another, right? And this is why, like, I want to point this out. This is sometimes when we have a conversation with someone and we get really frustrated because in order to have like an energetically like purifying conversation, someone has to be recognizing and identifying and holding the same esteems as one does, right? And this is a continuing conversation on what we spoke about in relationality to virtues. We've forgotten about virtues. It bothers me. Okay, like a lot of the tarot talks about virtues, which are the aspects, the architecture of what one should hold sacredly. Now, it's beautiful. I adore the virtues because what's amazing about the virtues, we find this in every culture. Every culture across the world identifies and discovers the virtues on their own. They are the pillars, as it were, of what we should build in relationality to what good is, or what something is moving us towards that feels like it helps us excel on the journey of the self. Balance, that is found in the Justice card. Wisdom, which is found in the Hermit card. We talk a lot about as well, we talk towards the space we just did, Temperance, which is the understanding of recognizing that like under knowing the self and being able to modulate the self in relationality to identifying what one needs versus what's not helpful for the self. And we also see it in the strength card, which is understanding the journey that vulnerability is a strength, but the ability to apply strength is strength is not being strong. It's the discernment point in how one applies strength that is the architecture of whether one is strong. Now, again, this is why I feel like a lot of the energy right now that is coming into divine union, they're working through new energetic lessons. Why do we see that the energy is moving through into new energetic lessons? Because a lot of that work, you'll remember that these are energies that are building into the space of an exceptional relationship. And why do we have exceptional relationships with others? We have exceptional relationships with others not when we have to lose our standards entirely, but when another person holds our standards as if they were their own. So when we have someone that holds our standards as if they were their own, we can also have very healing conversations with them. Because when we know another person holds our standards as would we ourselves, then that ability of moving something through, moving between the cups, if you will, allows us to recognize the difference between the higher self and the ego, right? Like the higher self and the ego. What is this? What am I doing, right? Like, this is what you can work on here. This is something you got to get rid of this. This is not helping you. This is good for you, right? And this is why it feels so energetically fortifying. But this is often what happens. And this is what's so difficult about trauma. Trauma teaches us the wrong lessons. Trauma teaches us the wrong lessons. And that is why sometimes it takes a lifetime to heal from trauma, because it's the fact of when you come into those spaces, right? And you work through those contexts, it's having to unravel something that you effectively worked through, because the same thing that you needed to facilitate and find within yourself in order to survive something is now the thing you spend the rest of your life working to dispel, right? So this is a lot of the work that I see, because I feel like a lot of the energy right now coming into divine union, I told you that energy, those chariot relationships that are moving deeper into divine union, this is the energy that understands, like, that is like, yeah, that's why we talk about the fact that healing is not linear, because it's not so much as, again, the life that is loved is a life where one understands one's own moving parts, is what I keep on hearing. Continuing to get clarification between our 10 of cups in its reversal in combination with our 4 of cups in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? There is that 7 of cups in its upright. You know, this is what we effectively, like, and I keep on hearing, like, remember, and this is the beauty, right? This is what we talk about in relationality to the healthy manifestation, right? Sometimes we reach for things and and this is the beauty of a manifestation. A healthy manifestation is not gimme energy. It's not, I want that. It's the ability of moving towards something, and on the journey of moving towards it, you help to open to see the possibilities that you arrive within. This is often why in the architecture of the self, I want you to think like the dreams of a child are different than the dreams of the adult. Why are the dreams of the child different than the dreams of the adult? Because it's the arriving to the possibilities. It's the ability to see more. It is the ability to expand upon the perspective. So we just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy right now, deep within divine union, that ability of like arriving, I feel like it's the healthy manifestation that is attenuated by the possibilities that expand and open up. Because I can see even now, like, there's a maturation point that's happening in some of these relationships that is allowing the context by which they're starting to, I keep on hearing, it's like the reshaping of the manifestation, arriving to the possibilities that one surrounds the self with. And this is what we have in any point, right? Because we talk about the fact that a healthy manifestation is about finding the self. And when we're finding the self, we're constantly in the space of arriving to the possibilities of the self. Continuing to get clarification between our 5 of cups in its reversal in combination with our King of Wands in its reversal. This is interesting because I got to tell you even now, like, look at this, King of Wands in its reversal with Empress in its reversal. This is speaking upon I keep on identifying here, this is working through, how do we describe this? I want to point out masculine and feminine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. There's a lot of energetic alignment here, right? Because this is the beauty of the energy in connection, right? The beauty of the energy in connection is sharing the energetic frustrations, right? It's the articulation of working to define and recognize the ability, I keep on hearing, the ability to energetically heal in relationality to being able to articulate what it is that one is healing from. And this is why I see that a lot of those relationships right now are moving deeper into connection, because for both masculine and feminine, what does it feel like to come into healthy connection? It's the ability to feel fully seen, right? And is this the energy that sees the counterpart, that feels like they see an unattainable version of them? No, right? Right? Often, this is why unhealthy, like sometimes, this is, we arrive to the relationship insofar as we are seen by our energetic counterpart, right? Because when we are seen clearly, it doesn't feel like we're in a performative relationship. It doesn't feel like we're playing a part. It doesn't feel like we have to adopt a role. This is why it's so important. This is why it's so important for us to be able to find ourselves before entering healthy partnership. Because when we find ourselves, we arrive to a counterpart that is able to see us with clarity, right? And we're going to talk a lot about this as we enter Cancer energy, because it's not the journey of getting rid of the ego. I hate to break it to you, you can't get rid of your ego. You can't get rid of it. If you think you've gotten rid of your ego, you've got an ego that thinks that it's gotten rid of the ego. That might be worse. It might be worse. Because you can't, it's always there. The ego is the defense mechanism. But what I love about Cancerian lessons, right? There's nothing worse than someone that doesn't think they have an ego, because that's like just not, like, what are you talking about? Like, you have one. You can't, I got rid of it. It's still there. Okay. When we're in a healthy space, we can see our ego, okay? We can see, like the Queen, and we were talking so much about the Queen of Wands. That's why I love the Queen of Wands. You know, when we're in a healthy space, yeah, there's my ego. There's just what, you know, it's like, you can see the ego, right? When you embrace the ego, when you see the ego, you can identify, be like, oh, there it goes, right? Like, it's like you can see when you're able to see it, you're usually in a good space, because it's the ability of understanding that, and this is what I love about Cancer energy, that, you know, when we're in a healthy space, the inside kind of matches the outside. You know, when you open it, like the shell of the carapace of a crab, like the beauty of the carapace of the crab is that it's the same thing, pretty much the whole thing, right? It's not there. It's formed around the crab. It's not doing anything. It's not doing anything like extravagant. You know what I mean? It's not doing anything. It's not doing anything like much different than the thing within it. Like, that's what's beautiful about Cancer energy. Cancer energy says the healthy ego is one that fits. It's one that fits. It's a nice fit. This feels good. I can move around in it, right? It carries the shape of the soul. Okay. It's one that carries the shape of the soul, because that's when the higher self and the ego are in alignment, right? Feels good is good. And sometimes, like, again, like, and this is what we talk about. This is what we talk about with Cancerian energy. That ability of identifying and feeling comfortable with the self is usually, what do we find? Those with healthy egos are often very comfortable with the self. They understand, they recognize the self, right? They're able to identify and articulate upon the self, right? Those that are not in a space where they recognize the self, they often have what? An ego that doesn't fit the inside. Right? Like, this is what I give everybody. This is not who I feel like inside. This is not who I feel like inside. This is what I want everybody to see. This is not who I feel like inside. And this is often where we have those moments that feel like ego fracturing, when the body gets too far from what it is that we give to those around us. So we see even now that this is the foundation of a lot of these new partnerships that are coming into connection right now. Right? Because that is the absolute, and this is why I see that the energy was taking time to get to know one another, because these are relationships, or these are individuals who are healing from relationships with others that may have felt like they were traumatized via another person's fractured ego. And what happens when we have someone who, like, when we're in that space, right? Often those modalities, right? Not being able, like, one of the identification points that we see with those who are too much in their ego is they think you think you're perfect. You think you're perfect. It's everybody else. It's everybody else. It's not you, right? So it's a lot of that work that we work to identify and articulate. And so that's why I see, like, this is a lot of those new partnerships or relationships these are the magician energies that are moving into temperance, which is the ability to energetically share the dream, the ability of being seen and being, like, the clarity of self that allows the possibility of what one can arrive to. So there's a lot of this energy and this is what I meant about the fact that this is a lot of the magician energy that's moving deeper into connection, because this is the trust that they're building upon with one another that feels like, I keep on hearing, it feels like that vibration wherein they're able to expand upon and understand and identify what is energetically possible. Now, for a lot of the energy right now that is deeper in divine union, this is the energy that is becoming more vulnerable than they ever have before. The exceptional partner, which is the space of, again, the conversation that says the truth is none of us wish we had to have boundaries. None of us wish we had to have boundaries. We have to have boundaries because there are those that do not carry our standards, right? And when we have those moments, like, this is the beauty of healthy partnership. A healthy relationship does not mean that your standards go out the window. It's the ability to become more vulnerable via an energetic counterpart who holds your standards as if they would their own. And when we have another who holds our standards as if we would our own, it allows us to do the work of healing from the things that we have carried for a long time. It allows us to become more vulnerable. It allows us to articulate more upon the things that we've been holding. It is the ability of moving deeper into our vulnerability, and in that way healing our inner child, right? Like, working more in the space of that. And so what I love about this energy right now is this is a lot of the energy that is coming into divine union, that is becoming the energetic force that would have prevented those wounds from occurring in the first place, right? It's a lot of that conversation about the fact that our vulnerability, and this is why we don't owe everybody our vulnerability, right? Because we don't, if it's not, and this is what I meant with Mars being in Virgo. When we understand that our vulnerability is a gift, then we hold it with energetic reverence, right? We don't demand it from each other. We understand that it is something that is earned. We understand that it is something that is worked towards. We understand that it is different in every context as it relates to it. And it's I keep on hearing, it is the protectiveness and the sacredness that feels very much like those modalities or circumstances that allow for the deepening of an energetic emotional connection. So this is why I keep on hearing there's a lot of reverence that's coming through in relationality to those connections, because it is talking towards, like, the journey of the ability of building towards exceptional relationship, which excels at holding each other's standards. This brings us to the energy deep within divine union. Clarification right now between our King of Wands in its reversal in combination with our Death card in its reversal. There she is. We got that Temperance card in its reversal. And this is why we see, and this is that's the thing with the Temperance card in its reversal. I keep on seeing there's something very important about, and the thing I keep on seeing with a lot of this energy of Temperance in its reversal has a lot to do with working through energetic frustration, because the ability to work through frustration is such, I keep on hearing, healthy, everything is a gift, and moving frustration into spaces of productivity is how we heal, right? And that's why I was going to say, I do feel like I see that there are some energetic separations that are occurring right now. and we're going to talk about them because I keep on seeing that some of those energetic separations that are occurring during this time have to do with the observation of, remember what I said, it's like, I keep on hearing, it's like a lot of the separations that are occurring right now are the difference between boo and do. We're going to work through that in a second. And that's being further, and this is what's, and I can keep on seeing that this is also important for a lot of the energy deep within divine union. So that's why I want to bring it up. Clarification between our wheel of fortune in combination with our 7 of cups and its upright. There's that sun card. So what do we talk about in relationality to boo and do? So when we talk about this, we effectively identify that, and I was seeing, and this is a continuing conversation. Like, this is why I'm not surprised to see this happening for some energy that is coming into separation at this time. A lot of the lessons that we work through during Gemini have to do with the difference between fickleness and pragmatism, right? Now, what is the difference between fickleness and pragmatism? Pragmatism is understanding that as we arrive towards a manifestation goal, we see more. So it is very common. It is a good thing to be pragmatic as you move towards a manifestation goal, because often what is the song you will hear as you move towards a manifestation goal? I was going about it all wrong. Okay, like that is the song you will hear as you move towards a manifestation goal. I was going about it all wrong. It is the learning of the self. It is the arrival point in understanding what it is that one needs to contextually change about the self in order to facilitate moving into the space of navigating a manifestation goal. A manifestation goal changes you in the process of moving towards it. Right? That's why we talk about the fact that it's a journey. It's a journey. It's a journey for a reason. Right? But that's why we see. Now, what is fickleness? Okay, fickleness is being too adaptable, right? Change for the sake of change. Change for the sake of change. Change is not a manifestation goal. Change is the nature of how energy moves. But there are those who will try to say, I just needed a change, right? But when we're too much in a space of being too changeable, the change itself is indicative of a lack of resilience towards frustration. So often those who are too fickle will say, oh, I just, I'm bored now. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's a lot of that. It's too much. It's that moving around that is indicative not of a change towards a manifestation goal, but a lack of resilience in relationality to what one is setting one's intention upon. We are often traumatized by others' fickleness, and that's why we use discernment as it relates to those we allow vulnerable to us. Because for those who are too fickle with their manifestation goals, they can get someone like you get, it's a lot of that, like it's a lot of that I change my mind energy that can, you know what I mean? Like it's a lot of that order something. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of that, like it's focusing, it's staying intentional as it relates to and this is why, right? And this is why we often build a feeling of energetic safety in relationality to those who are consistent in their manifestation goals, right? Because what do we love about those who share our manifestation goals? The pragmatism becomes our pragmatism as well, right? It's like it helps us like come into that space of adaptability. But this is why I keep on seeing, if these are modalities where another person is potentially changing so much or continuing to change that it feels like they're perpetually spinning their wheels, I could see that this could be and this could be creating a modality of those potentially falling into separation because, I keep on hearing, I don't like this. This is the argument between I don't like this and do something. Right? Like the ability of saying, like the ability of moving it into, like I told you, the frustration, we move into a productive space, right? Like the ability of understanding that is that when we move into I don't like this and to do something, we become the energetic force of arriving towards our manifestation goal, right? But when we're always articulating upon our energetic frustration, like that doesn't get us anywhere. So I keep on seeing like there's a lot of that energy that is articulating upon And I keep on hearing that segmentation point between the energy that is working towards, like working towards something, versus energy that is articulating the refusal to move because they don't like what they energetically see. Continuing to get clarification between our Seven of Cups in its upright in combination with our Empress card in its reversal. One card, please. There you go. Nine of Swords in its reversal. When you look for problems everywhere, problems is what you will see. If you look for reasons not to, you will always find reasons not to, right? It's what you do, right? A lot of working towards manifestations is what you do when you encounter a knot, right? And there are those who do not move towards manifestations because the first knot they see, they just walk away from. They go, and that's the way it works. And that's the thing about it. It's not about like it's not the energy that says, oh, and this is the thing with Gemini and Aries, which is what we're experiencing a lot right now, right? Moving towards manifestation goals is not that space of being like, yeah, that's great. There was this clear path. I just walked down it. It was great. It was wonderful. Oh, you didn't find the path? That's a shame. No, it's what you do with the hurdles. It's what you do with the hurdles, right? It's as you navigate, right? It's working through those. And that's why you have to be resilient in relationality to moving towards a manifestation goal, because it's not the ability of saying I wanted to, but it wasn't perfect, so I didn't. Like it's not the moment that you say I wanted to, but it wasn't perfect, so I didn't. It's a song that says I wanted to and it wasn't perfect and I did it anyway. You know what I mean? It's just like, I wanted to and I didn't, and I did it anyway, right? It's a lot of that. It's how you navigate through something. It's finding the perseverance, right? So I keep on seeing like this is what I meant about the energy looking towards one another and feeling that I keep on hearing that energy of working through problems together. This is the energy that's saying to one another, I'm not perfect. And what is the energy saying back and forth to one another? Who on earth gave you the idea you had to be? Continuing to get clarification between the Empress card and the Temperance card. I'll tell you who did. Energy that doesn't want to do the work. Okay? What will you experience with energy that doesn't want to do the work? They'll tell you you're not energetically perfect. They'll articulate their displeasure, right? This is what we often pick up in trauma spaces, right? It's a lot of that space that makes us feel, that makes us experience our limitations to such a place that they feel like they can energetically debilitate us. But that's why, again, a lot of that work that we do in relationality to finding our sense of self, the ability to find our sense of strength, a lot of that is unfortunately the result of having to work through, right? You want to heal trauma, the first thing you have to do is heal from the illusion that the trauma tries to create within you. And as we continue to do so, we're able to hold ourselves more energetically sacredly. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy doing that work, identifying and recognizing, being able to articulate upon the energetic meaning that they feel towards one another, we just keep on seeing that this is the energy. And I love to point this out. These were the magician partnerships, right? The energy that was focusing on authenticity of the self beyond as the main priority of connection. And they're moving into justice. They're moving into balance. I love to point out the fact that it's the same position in relation to the expression that we see in this space, because it is the feeling of alignment we have with someone that is doing the work in the same way that we ourselves are, which is, again, this is the energy of finding the balanced counterpart. While we continue to move deeper into union right now, clarification between our Sun card and our Nine of Swords in its reversal, we've got here our 10 of Wands in its upright. So this is why we see that for a lot of the energy right now, deep within divine union, this is why we create that space of strength in relationality to what it is that we do for one another. Because I keep on hearing, like, this is the energy, like, I want to show you this. Like, we talked about the space of what it feels like to be in healthy partnership. Is it the standards that go away? No. It's the song that we say, here, let me hold that for you. Let me carry those standards for you, right? Because it's not the standards that go away. It's the beauty of being in connection with someone that holds our standards for us, that allow us to become more vulnerable, that allow us to build into the sacredness of self and to begin to heal that inner child. Continuing to get clarification between our 9 of Swords and its reversal in combination with our Justice card. We've got here our 7, and this is the difference. This is the difference. I just want to show you. This is the difference between what trauma will say about your standards and what a healthy relationship will say about your standards. I love this because this is healthy relationship, which says here, listen, let me hold those standards for you. No, you don't have to worry about them. I got them. Yep, I got them. Versus the energy of the trauma-informed relationship that says, let's get rid of these. You don't need these. Why? What do you take? Like, it's the energy that takes the standards personally. It's the energy that tries to attack the energetic standards and articulate and take them from the position of saying like how dare you have them. Right. And this is the thing about it. Unhealthy spaces, when you try to bring up standards, they'll say, how dare you? They'll say, how dare you have standards? Right. And when we're in healthy spaces, they'll say, please, let me carry those for you. No, I totally understand. I got them. Right. And so we see even now that this is why I told you, if there's some energy right now that you're feeling like the energy of anxiety you may be feeling is the releasing of a lot of energetic audacity. You're feeling the audacity that is being released by a lot of energy that's moving into divine union, because I keep on hearing the first thing you will feel as you go on the healing path is the audacity, right? It's the recognition of something that another willingly carries, that another person was trying to blame you for having in the first place. Oh, final card for today's spread between our 10 of Wands and its upright in combination with our 6 of Swords. There's our 2 of Wands in its upright. And I love this here. I love to see a 2 of Wands that we are building upon, because it is the continuation of the space that trauma is the pain we carry from things that are confusing. And the healthy relationship, it's not that things are not difficult, right? But it's the ability to always find clarity. Right? And this is the gift that we give. This is why it is so crucial to do the work to understand ourselves in healthy relationship. Because the more that we are able to understand ourselves, the less ubiquitous we are to those that we are surrounded by. When we are a mystery to ourselves, we often create trauma without meaning to, right? That's often those moments that create, and we've all have those experiences. Right? When we're not being clear with ourselves, that confusion, the confusion of the self, can not only hurt the self, but it hurts everyone around us because they've got to experience it too. But when we're clear with ourselves, when we understand and recognize, when we're able to articulate how we're feeling, we're able to articulate our actions, we're able to make sense. I mean, not like perfectly, because we can't ever fully know ourselves, but we do the best we do the best we can in understanding what we are composed within. It helps us build clarity as it relates to what is expressed without. And that is often the sign of a healthy ego, because that's the moment that the inside matches the outside. And often that's why when we have a healthy ego and another person gets to know us, it's like the best thing ever, because they're like, guys, I went in there's just more of it. Like, it's just more of it. It's just more of the same. It's dope. It's so great. It's even better, right? It's the best. It's great. But when we're not in a healthy space, it can feel like we're giving this like false reality to the world, right? We're like, this is who I am. This is not who you, and the ego going, this is not who we are. We cannot let them know who we are, right? And they're like, this is who we are. And then we build into the relationship, and then someone gets in there and they go, who is that person? Who on earth is this person? This is not who you said. Like, it's a lot of that can create that space. Like, and that's often what happens in relationships. It's the delving within that sometimes creates that frustration point and being like, and this is the difficulty point. Energy that does that, sometimes they're not even intentional of doing it, right? Like, that's the hard part. So that's why we see that a lot of that work, right, being able to facilitate that, often we articulate the fact that the way that we figure out, the way that we identify both within and without is by holding those energetic standards, right? Because when we hold our energetic standards, that ability of doing so, it is the space that another person honors us in that modality, right? It is the ability, I keep on hearing, the ability of being able to articulate. And I keep on hearing, standards are not exceptional. It's not selfish to have standards. If the standards, so long as, okay, here's the thing, okay? Every good rule has an important catch to it, okay? Your standards are not exceptional if and only if the standards that you hold are equally proportional to the standards that you would hold another to. As long as your standards, okay, as long as your standards are standards that you yourself would be willing to meet, then they are standards. But when you have standards that are exclusive to you, that is not healthy. That is not healthy. That is where we start to build the framework of something that feels like it's energetically imbalanced. So, and I keep on seeing like that's a lot of the work that we're experiencing. And here's the thing. And we all have different standards. This is the beauty of it. We got different standards. So sometimes we meet someone, go, these are my standards. Another person goes, these are my standards. Our standards are like way off. Cool. You like go off with your bad self, right? But that's the moment. Where do we start having conflict? When others start pushing our standards, right? When others start saying, you shouldn't have those, right? And that's the thing. The ability to build into healthy connection is having the respect of one's own standards and having the respect of others. And when we're able to meet each other in those modalities, then that is the ground upon which we can build healthy relationship. But the ability, and this is why we sometimes need to take time to identify how others hold our standards, because those who try to push against our standards, right? That's the energy that says, why aren't you being vulnerable with me? Why aren't you being vulnerable with me? And being like, well, this is why. like this is why. Right? It's the ability of understanding that is something that is energetically precious. It is slow to form. It is something that is beautiful, and this is why we talk about the fact that when we have a healthy relationship, we don't surrender our standards. We surrender into ourselves more in connection in the space of another who holds our standards for us. Bottom of the deck on this reading, yep, especially with the Four of Swords in its Four of Wands in its upright, right? And so it's talking a lot towards that pathwork of again recognition of the self. This is why you don't need to be perfect to be able to enter a healthy relationship. Perfect is not a place. Perfection is not something that is found. It is something that we move towards. But we become perfect when we understand who we are, because in the understanding of the self, we set the expectations both for ourselves and for those around us. And that ability of being energetically adaptable, right? That gift that we give. This is why we have to we're going to think about this a little bit with with the fact that Mars is in Virgo, because those who embody a lot of Virgo lessons have to often come here to heal their connection to perfection. Right? A desire for perfection can stop anything from getting done. Okay? Like a desire for perfection, there's nothing, and often that's a hard thing. Like when you've got a vision, right? The desire for perfection can sometimes stop anything from getting done because you have to bring practicality to circumstances or situations, right? It's not about looking at something and saying, I'm not doing this because it's not perfect. It's doing what one can to move something in accordance with what you aspire to do, right? A manifestation is not a leap of faith. It is a journey of inches. It is doing that work and the ability to build upon itself. So I want you to think about that a lot today. And I keep on saying, if you're feeling frustrated, I want you to say, how can I move this frustration into a place that feels like it serves my manifestation goal? How can I take this feeling and identify what feels like it's energetically productive? How can I put it in a place that feels like it's moving towards the expression of what I aspire? Because I can see even now, like a lot of this, like it can create, like it's a lot of that, like I don't like this energy. But again, if you're feeling I don't like this, fortify and focus on what would you prefer. that is our daily collective read for today. I would like to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my site. Please keep in mind, if you book a reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site. So I would encourage you to do it there. A couple of updates before we get started, before we move into personal readings. First and foremost, I'd like to thank everyone who attended our recent class on the temperance card. Our next class will be held on Wednesday, July 16th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the devil card. If you would like to become part of that tarot class program, all you need to do is head on over to my Substack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also, as a paid subscriber, have access to over paid monthly subscriber, have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church class library archive. It's not necessary to catch up, but if you wanted to catch up, now's a great time to join because you've had like a whole month to like catch up on classes. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions you may have in relation to anything we are studying or have studied thus far. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, you will also have full access to the entirety of the Tarot Church archive. That is access to over 15 hours worth of material in an ever expanding library. Now, it's not necessary, as I said, to catch up, but now's a great time to join. You got like what is that, like 5 hours of class per week before we have that next class. Also, as a founding member, you will have access to the option of receiving a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, where I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage towards your personal tarot goals moving forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. You'll also have access to my Mystic Meditation articles that give you recaps on what we've been seeing energetically. I just posted one about the Sagittarius full moon that we just experienced. And I also post each day's photo of today's spread, which you'll be able to find there later today with the podcast. All of that is available over on my Substack. I also want to thank you guys. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages. And we will do this again tomorrow.